Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride the one-horse open sleigh. Hey! Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride the one-horse open sleigh. Dzwonki cały czas. Jednym konia mowa piosenki, jeśli to spas. Dzwonki cały czas. Jednym konia mowa piosenki, jeśli to spas. Na zdrowie! Ring the glocken, ring the emerald too. Ha! What's more, it's too far, and I'm start up and switching. Hey! Ring the glocken, ring the emerald too. No, what's more, it's too far, and I'm start up and switching. Sit and jump, start off for ye. Yay, let go wooing guy. Hey! Sit and jump, start off for ye. Yay, let go wooing guy. Klingenden, klingenden ganzen Weg. Euer Spaß ist es, nothing for the Schlitten zu fahren. Ring mir Glocken, ring gladly the whole day sleep. Oi, what glad we are having riding in the one-horse sleigh, okay? Come up, Pasquale, geometry, aga. But if I think about all, come on, Frenchy, gully up on some Frenchy. Hey! Come up, Pasquale, geometry, aga. But if I think about all, come on, Frenchy, gully up on some Frenchy.
Okay, let's waste no time. Diving right in, first is a beautiful Duncan Miller sandwich plate. Well, the pattern is called sandwich. It's an deviled egg plate. It's sandwich glass is the pattern. The manufacturer is Duncan Miller, and it is a deviled egg plate. Okay, we got it all out. A couple of other companies made the sandwich pattern. I think Anchor Hocking did as well, but Duncan Miller really, I mean, this just, look at this. I mean, even if you don't like deviled eggs, you would eat one off of that, would you not? It's beautiful. It is chip-free, very nice crystal, extremely heavy, we know. It's the lead content in glass that gives it this beautiful glistening. I'm not going to pontificate like this for every piece. Let me just get it out of my system, and then I'll go much faster. That's a beautiful piece of glass. Okay, so you can see the indentations for the deviled eggs. Question, everybody. Oh, by the way, this is... well, Duncan Miller was one of the good glass companies of the Depression era. This would be considered an elegant piece of glass, and 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You know, some of the patterns they made for many, many, many years. I didn't bother to look the years up on this, but we can say, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, somewhere in there. But what I wanted to ask you is, in the tradition in my family and in where I'm from, we don't eat deviled eggs at Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's not part of my tradition. Is it yours? I was mentioning this to my former college roommate, who happens to be a Southerner, and he said, we eat deviled eggs. Okay, I'm not doing a very good Southern accent.
I can't think about this now. I'll go crazy if I do. I'll think about it tomorrow.
He eats deviled eggs at during his holiday season. Is it a Southern thing? Are there other Yankees that do it? What about you guys out in the Midwest and in the South and in the New England states and out in California and so forth, in Texas? Do you all or eat deviled eggs during the holiday season. Because I thought it wouldn't sell until maybe Easter. But I'm curious. That's gorgeous. Chip-free. Pressed glass. This is a cake plate. And that looks like a snowflake on your windowsill. Absolutely beautiful. Not windowsill, but window pane. Has a little bit of a lip to it to keep your Pfeffernuss cookies in place, or your Stollen, or whatever kind of Christmas treat you're having. And this again is, all of these here are examples of pressed glass, or a combination of pressed, cut, or etched. Nothing here would be actual cut glass, so there's nothing of that nature here on the counter. And as you know, most of the glass of this nature was popular from the 1850s into the 20s, when the colored glass started to take over, and then all of this fell out of fashion for the most part. Little bonbon or candy dish. And I'm not naming patterns because I don't know them all, and there are dozens, there are hundreds of patterns, so you can go crazy with your looking them up in books. That is a zipper pattern there. This might be U.S. Glass Company, my former college roommate tells me, and it is biscuit jar. Do whatever you want with it. You can even fill it with your Ferrero Rochers or whatever those things are, and it's lovely. And there are no chips or cracks in that, and I should hold it up so it can be seen. Alright, if I were to drop any of this, if there's any time of the year that pressed glass, cut glass, patterned glass like this, EPAG, Early American Pressed Glass, is beautiful, I think it's at Christmas time, because you can mix it and match it and just do so much with it. Small candy dish. That is made by Cambridge, and this is a 1930s, 40s piece. Rose something or other, I don't remember. But it has its lid. Beautiful etched piece. And this is a 3-part server. Could be for anything you want. Relish, candy, you name it. And this, you saw me sell this about a month ago in amber, missing its lid. And that's a really beautiful, elegant piece made by the Cambridge Glass Company of the 1930s. Back there are candlesticks by Fostoria. The blank is called Baroque. And these happen to be decorated with a silver overlay, sterling silver overlay, which you can see right here on both sides, there and there. And what's nice about these single candlesticks, and I've got a set of 4 of them, and I'm going to sell all 4 of them together, is you can do so much with them. You can pair them in so many different ways. The candles will not be included, but you can certainly have fun figuring out what you want to do with the candlesticks. Here's a candy dish, another extremely popular pattern. I should say blank. Now let's pair it with this one, because these two styles right here, hold on. These two forms, this short, fat, squatty candy dish and this tall, elegant, thin one, they were made by almost every glass company I can think of in the 1920s and 30s. It was an enormously popular form. They come in all different colors, all different types of etching. Sometimes they're gilded. And as I said, everybody made them. From Cambridge to Heisey to Duncan Miller to McKee. Yes, even McKee had an example. And so these are really nice. Keeps the cat from licking your after dinner mints. Put your hands in the air. It's for my horse, it's for my horse. And another nice, tall, elegant one, and this one is etched. Okay, so I'll let you have a close-up look at that. Lovely. and then this one as well. Now this one is in good shape except for at the very, very, very top. Let's try to zoom in on it. And it doesn't want to, which is fine. If you're curious, you can look at the pictures on my auction site, and you'll see that there's just the tiniest little nip out of the top of that, and I can't get it to focus, so forget it. Okay, put those back. Another serving tray over here, which could be for just about anything you want on your Christmas table. A basket. Beautiful. Very heavy. Nice lead content in that one. Just look at it sparkle. They sparkle like ice. I try to find ones with a good amount of lead content, whether they're 24% or whatever it is. I don't pay any attention to that. If it looks good in the light, that's fine with me. Okay, it's time to jump in here and have a quick conversation about lead. And I would first say, hey folks, it's up to you. There is plenty of information out there. Don't take it from me. If you're not comfortable using leaded glass, then by all means don't. I'm not suggesting that anybody drink out of carafes or that wine has been stored in and so forth. And it certainly is lead content that is harmful. And so what I would say is, that's up to you. I'm just simply presenting this as beautiful glass, and you can make the decision whether you want to actually use it or not. No, most modern glassware that is manufactured for drinking purposes does not contain lead anymore. Of course, the risk for lead poisoning is much, much higher in children. And if you're concerned about it and you want to use it, there are things you can do to minimize risk, such as use, crystal only when serving, don't store food or beverages. And of course, in the end, the final decision is yours. I only use this glass maybe once a year at Christmas time, and so I think eating 1 or 2 Christmas cookies off of a plate that might contain some lead in it, I'm not too worried about that. I don't tend to over-dramatize things such as that, but I do want to mention it because I know some folks are very sensitive to the fact that some of this old glass does contain lead, and so proceed at your own risk. It's up to you. Okay, back to the kitchen counter. These are obviously a much lower, these are very light. There's not as much lead in these, and you can tell. When you look at these compared to the others, you go, oh, well, what's wrong with them? Well, it's just good old-fashioned soda lime glass, and very, very little lead in those, and so you don't get a whole lot of sparkle. But they're punch cups. There are 8 of them here, and again, you can do a lot with these. Individual favors, nut cups, little candy cups. You could even put candles in them as votives. You really could. A nice bowl back there that could be for serving. It's smooth on the inside, so you could do a lot with that. This one is somewhat unique. I picked it up because I was attracted to it. I like the base. It's not huge, it's not overwhelming, so if you have a small table, that would work for you. And I am going to do a video that talks about what's the difference between a crack, a straw mark, and an inclusion, and a pontil mark, and all that jazz. Because what you see right there is called an inclusion. It's not a crack. I'll tell you more about that in some other video. A wedding cake box. Yeah. I think Jeanette, and this is a tiny one. I think it's 4.5 inches. You see these in milk glass, in pink. Sometimes they're painted. This one is a little one. And wonderful for your spice drops. All right. And now we're going to look at some examples of Heisey. I was amazed when I saw all of this Heisey glass. The Heisey Glass Company made exceptional glass. I think they got started sometime in the 1880s and sold glass through the 60s. Again, don't quote me on that because I'm just going off my memory, but it's one of those wonderful glass companies that produced a lot of glass and crystal from the turn of the century into the mid 20th century. And what we've got here, I'll start with the 5 bowls that we see right here. These are little either berry bowls or serving bowls. Heisey is usually marked with an H in a diamond, and we can see it right there. I've talked about Heisey before. Very collectible. A lot of folks are still buying Heisey, so when I see Heisey, I always get it because of its quality. This is a colonial pattern with a fluted edge, and they have matching underplates. This could also dub as a saucer. It is the right size. And anyway, it's the same pattern, and the berry bowls fit on top of them beautifully. So I'm going to be selling the berry bowls with these underplates, a set of 5 of them. Here's a larger one. I wouldn't call it a master berry bowl because it's about a ½ an inch bigger than the actual bowls themselves, but it is just a little bit larger, and it has a ring for your finger to pass around the table, but it matches. And then I've got a bunch of extras over here. I don't know, there are 8 or 9 of them. And so for anyone who collects this particular pattern of Heisey, this colonial pattern, paneled pattern with this fluted edge, I've got a bunch of these, which could be used as saucers or underplates. And then also in the colonial pattern, I think these are 12 plates over here. These would be considered small dinner roll plates, bread and butter plates. They're a little bit larger than a saucer. And these are gorgeous as well. And they're all marked with the H for Heisey, which you can see right there. See that? Okay. And beautiful plates, high quality glass Heisey was. This was not cheap Depression glass given away. Very beautiful glass. We'll put that back where it is. And now I'm going to kind of try to get it back the way that it was so you can see everything. And back up. And every single piece of this glass that you see in front of you is currently up for sale in Scott's Old Curiosity Shop on eBay. The link is below. They're all running for auction. They'll run for about 7 days. I think I listed most of this glass yesterday. So there's 5 or 6 days left in the auction depending on when you see this video. I have what I think is pretty reasonable opening bids. There's nothing that's terribly valuable or out of the average price range, and it's just beautiful glass. So I hope this inspires you. There's plenty of pressed glass and pressed cut glass such as this floating around out there. It's kind of been ignored in the last 30-40 years. It fell out of style, but you'll find plenty of it. My advice is, when you go to buy it, look for clarity, such as what we see in this beautiful Duncan Miller right here, which is just like ice. And again, in this basket here, quite a nice lead content because of the sparkle and the heaviness of it, and really feel the points. You know, if it's chipped, pass it by. And I say that because you will find plenty of this. There's no need to bring home chipped or damaged or cracked pieces because there's so much of this glass out there. I think it's beautiful. Again, I hope it inspires you to mix and match. Early American pattern glass, also known simply as pattern glass, pressed glass, or Victorian glass, is pressed glass tableware and some related novelty glass items. EAPG, Early American Pattern Glass. The number of patterns of EAPG has been estimated to be as high as 3,000. However, with some of those patterns, only a few pieces were actually made. It's beautiful. EAPG glass was manufactured in beautiful, clear crystal glass and in a limited number of colors. Okay, Salem. That was the cat singing his tune entitled "It's Time to Feed Me." So I've got to get up and do that. But before I do, I'll say that if you're interested in learning more about pattern glass, a great reference and one that I turn to quite often is simply patternglass.com. I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop saying thanks for watching and so long for now.